What's good, everybody? Man, it's your boy, Mr. CDK with Sports Talk Network. And I got my brother in the building, man, today, none other than Mr. D Free. What's good, my brother?
What's going on with your CDK?
Man, ready, excited about this weekend, man. We got some big fights coming up this weekend. I'm really, really excited. You know what I'm saying? Some great fights. Turkin and made another card. You know, we've been seeing Turkin put out these cards, man. I mean, I'm talking about phenomenal cards. Where would you rank this card right here on your all time if you think about the cards of the past? What do you think about this card?
Um, as I think about the cards from the past, I would say this is probably right. Um, I want to say probably right, right below the Tank Davis card that he did when he had uh Boots Ennis. He had who else he had on there? He had Jerome Boots Ennis. He had Rashidi Ellis. He had Boo Boo Andrade on there. He had quite a few guys that we wanted to see that we haven't seen in a while. Like Rashidi Ellis, we didn't see him in a while. Boo Boo Andrade, we haven't seen him in a while. So I would say this probably somewhere around where that card was rated at, because that was a fire card too. Now on paper, both these cards are fire cards.
Yeah,
How they pan out when the fight happens, it remains to be seen. But on paper, I would say this probably it's like right there. I mean, some people would say it's better than that, but in my opinion, I thought the Tank Davis card was better because it was a lot of guys that I wanted to see. On this card, there's only three fights that I want to see on this card, and that's the rematch with Arthur and Bivol, the Kid Austin and Shakur, and the Virgil and Magnumov. The other fights, they good fights or whatever, not taking nothing from them. But I mean I wasn't looking to see those fights. Those are the only three fights that I'm actually anxious to see.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, like you said, because you got the Callum Smith fight on this card. You got man, you got what Zang, Big Zang fighting. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
you
saying?
got
Like you said,
Triple D.
yeah, yeah. There are some good fights on this card. Definitely some good undercard fights. But definitely the fight, like you said, that you're excited about. I'm definitely excited about the rematch between Arthur and Dimitri, Floyd Schofield and Shakur Stevenson. I'm definitely excited about that fight. You know, that's one of the fights. I think to me, that's the fight out of all the fights that I want to see more than anything. How do you? That's the fight. Is that the fight you really looking forward to seeing more than anything?
Um, I would say, to be honest with you, I think that I mean that's a fight that's right up there, but I think the fight that I'm more looking forward to than any other fight on here, because I think Shakur is going to outclass Schofield. I think it's going to be an interesting fight at the early part of the fight, but I think Shakur experience is going to take over in the later part of the fight. I think we already saw what we saw with the Arthur and Demetrius. I think they might tweak a little stuff here and there in their game plan, but it's going to pretty much, I think it's going to still pan out the same way it did before. Only difference is, will Arthur get the knockout this time? Um, but the fight that I'm more intrigued in seeing out of all these fights, which I think could be the fight that steals the night, and that's the fight between Magnumov and Virgil Ortiz. I think that fight right there could be the fight that be the best fight of the night. Because if Virgil Ortiz is what everybody claimed that he is, this can be a very interesting fight.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Like you said, and I'm glad you said it, because a lot of people, you know, with the Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Schofield fight, like I've given Floyd Schofield all the credit in the world for taking this fight, being a young fighter, and I'm just glad you said it, man. I'm not the only person saying it. I just feel like that he's gonna get you know, outclassed. I think that in the later rounds, and he under the bright lights going into that deep water, I think that Shakur Stevenson is gonna be too much to deal with. You understand what I'm saying? It's gonna be too
Yeah.
much. But I also the fight that, like you said, Madrimov and Virgil Ortiz. I'm looking forward to this fight. For one, you know me, I like to bet. You like to bet. Madrimov is plus 100 right now. He's plus
Yep.
100. Virgil Ortiz is the favorite, and I really truly don't know how, but I think it's that fight where, you know what I'm saying. I think I got Madrimov winning. You know what I'm saying. I think that his style and Virgil Ortiz style is just a bad matchup for Virgil Ortiz. So I'm definitely rocking with Madrimov in this fight. I think he's gonna take care of business, and I gotta take him. I gotta put my money on him, and let's see how it plays out. If he's anything like he did in terms of Crawford, from what we seen, if that's the real Madrimov, then I think it's gonna be a long night for Virgil. I mean, how you see that fight playing out?
Um, I do, because the thing about Virgil likes to get into a firefight, and I think Magnumov, with his boxing ability, that is really underrated, because a lot of people didn't know who Magnumov was until they saw him fight Bud Crawford. I think
Right.
his boxing ability is really underrated, and his long arms, like Magnumov got some long arms, and he got underrated boxing ability, and he got underrated power, because a couple of those shots that he hit Bud with, Bud took a step back, because that
Yeah.
dude got some power with him, and that's one thing about those Russian guys. They all tough, durable guys that can punch. And I don't know if Virgil is ready for this type of fight yet, because if you look at his last fight at 154, Virgil didn't give you the best outing. A lot of people thought he lost that fight. I'm one of the ones that thought that it was a very close fight. It could have went either way, but a lot of people thought that Virgil lost that fight, and I don't think that he wins against Magnumov fighting that same type of fight that he fought his last fight. I think he'll get stopped fighting Magnumov fighting that way. But I think Magnumov is going to surprise a lot of people. I think he's definitely going to surprise a lot of people. And when I saw the plus 100 odds, I jumped on it, because
Yeah.
I got a feeling when they get closer to fight night, I think the odds is going to change. I think it's going to swing into Magnumov's
Great.
favor.
Mhm. I agree with that, and I think that's how Vegas sometimes trick people that don't know a lot about betting. They put that money out there for you, and you'll be waiting around to the last moment, and boom, they're gonna switch it up. I think
Hmm.
Madrimov will end up being the favorite in this fight by fight night. I think Vegas knows what they're doing, but that's how they trick you. Either you get your money out there now, or you wait until it's too late. And like you said, I think in the last fight, I ain't gonna lie, I had Virgil Ortiz losing by a round. I scored, you know what I'm saying, real close. I had it real close, but I had him down a round. I thought he lost the fight, you know what I'm saying? But like you said, it could have went either way with that fight. It was an excellent fight, you know what I'm saying? It was that type of fight. It was a fan friendly fight. Put it that way.
Yeah.
A real fan friendly fight. If you wanted a bunch of offense and people getting hit and knocked down, you had that type of fight. But in this fight right here, like you said, I think that I don't know how you feel about this. Roman Villa, I think about him, and that's why I've always said Jerron Boots in his style was bad for Virgil, because I feel like Virgil Ortiz is flat footed, kind of reminds me of a bigger, stronger version of Roman Villa. Kind of, they come forward, you know what I'm saying? Both of them flat footed, they got good power, but they're easy to be hit. You know what I'm saying? Do you think their styles
Right.
kind of are kind of similar?
Yeah. I mean, most definitely. Now, Virgil has a little more athleticism than Villa has, but
Yeah,
they fight a similar style. They both come forward. They like to bang. They don't give you a lot of head movement. They don't give you a lot of defense. Um, and that's going to be Virgil's downfall, I believe, against Magnumov, because we saw Magnumov with Bud Crawford. It took Bud Crawford the last 2 rounds to pull that fight out, because
mm-hmm.
I had it an even match up until the 11th round. Once the
Right.
11th and 12th round came, I thought Bud pulled it out in the 11th and 12th round, but up until that point, it was an even match fight. I don't think Virgil fighting Bud Crawford in a 10-round fight is going to be an even match fight. I think
Yeah,
Bud Crawford will outclass Virgil Ortiz in a 10-round fight. So
definitely.
if Magnumov can make it a even fight with Bud, I think he can do a lot better against somebody who doesn't show a lot of head movement, who doesn't use a lot of footwork, and who doesn't have the greatest defense. And I mean, let's be honest, Virgil Ortiz ring IQ is nowhere near the level of a Bud ring IQ. So I think Manimar will have an easier time with Virgil Ortiz. Will he win? That remains to be seen. I got him favored to win, but I mean Virgil might catch him with a big shot and stop him. I mean, who knows? This is
Yeah.
boxing; anything can happen. But we're going by what we believe is going to happen in that fight. And I think Manimar, because he only got now 13 fights, a lot of people was underestimating his boxing ability because they said, "Oh, he got beat by Bud. Bud just moved up to the weight class." Well, I think Virgil would have got beat by Bud if he just moved up to the weight class too. So that doesn't change anything. I think both of those guys are not as good as Bud, but I think Manimoff is better than Virgil.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. And another fight on this card that I'm kind of on the fence about which way I'm gonna bet on it is Joshua Batista and Callum Smith. That fight right there is kind of intriguing to me. I think it's one of those fights where it's hard to really say for sure who's gonna win that fight because we don't know what Callum Smith has left in the tank. He's 3-5. I think he's won 3 out of his last 5 fights, lost 2. I believe one was to Arthur and one was to Canelo Alvarez. Now, those are 2 big names, 2 great fighters, but he did take a pounding in those fight pause. He took a pretty good beating in that fight or whatever. Uh, how do you think that fight play out? Do you think that Joshua is too young, or do you think Callum is like on the decline on the back end?
Um, who's he fighting again?
He fighting the guy Joshua. What is it, Batista? You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
oh yeah, I saw him. He that's the same guy that lost to is he the same guy that lost to what's his name? The guy that Boots fighting right now. That Boots about to fight.
You talk to Stanionis?
Yeah, is that the same guy that lost to Stanionis
I
on the
don't think
Earl Spence
so.
Ugas card?
Uh, no, I don't think so. I think that he actually is. Hold on, let me make sure because I thought that he was. You know what I'm saying? I thought he might have been undefeated. If he ain't undefeated, he only has 1 loss. But I think he's been fighting around that. What is it? What are they at? 168 pound weight class.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who he is. But see the thing is with Callum
He's the
Smith,
British. He's British. He's British.
yeah, with Callum Smith outside of outside of Canelo and Arthur, Callum Smith usually have his way with guys who's relatively unknown
Yeah.
and relatively um doesn't impose their will. Like with Arthur and with Canelo, they was big punchers, and so
Yeah.
they was able to oppose their will on Callum Smith. I think I don't know why with Canelo. I don't know why he didn't use his arm reach.
Definitely.
With Arthur, I mean, I understand what Arthur is a different animal. You're a different breed, so you can use your arm reach for as long as you can extend your arm because after a while you ain't gonna be able to extend it no more because he
Mhm.
gonna keep beating you up.
So
But I, I I'm gonna lean towards Caleb Smith because he usually have his way with guys who's relatively unknown. Those guys
okay.
that doesn't have a big name like that, he usually beat those guys to death. And
Okay,
shout
this
out to my
guy,
boy
he
BBO.
is my fault. Yeah, he is undefeated free. He's 19-0 with 13 knockouts. He's undefeated. His last fight was against Willie Hutchinson, which was a win. We know
Yeah,
that that
no,
was his last fight.
Caleb,
September 24th.
Caleb Smith gonna beat him. Caleb Smith gonna beat him.
Yeah, and
He
the reason I
and
asked
see
that
Caleb
because
Smith always. If you go back and look at Caleb Smith resume, when he lost to Canelo, he took another fight after that. That was a guy that a lot of people say, "Oh, you know what? After what we saw with him and Canelo, hey, he might lose this fight." And then he went in there and he beat that boy into the canvas. So I think this is going to be a similar situation. He's going to use this guy for his frustration of what happened in that daggone Arthur fight, and he going to beat him up.
Okay, definitely. And the reason I asked that because Callum Smith is you know what I'm saying, he's the underdog in this fight, and that's some money that can be made right there. I think he's like a plus 200 or something, whatever he is. He's the underdog in this fight. But just like you're saying, a lot of the experts believe that Callum Smith is gonna be able to pull this fight off. You know what I'm saying? They're saying that he's gonna
Yeah.
come out there and take care of business. So that's what I was looking at. I was like, okay, I haven't really seen too much out of this guy as well as you. You know what I'm saying? Like I just know he's from Britain. Like say he's undefeated, and people have been talking, saying good things about him. But I know that they said one of his fight, he was in a tough fight. You know, another fight, a big fight on this card, man. The heavyweights. Z Zhang is you know, we know he's 41 years old, and he's taking on, man, a guy. I have a trouble pronouncing his name, Agate, however you pronounce it, Khabib, but he's undefeated, and you know he's saying he's gonna be the first guy to knock Zhang out. Had you paid any attention to this guy that he fighting, that Zhang fighting?
Um, if he's who I think he is, he's a good dude. He can fight. He definitely can punch. Um, I don't know if he wins though. That's the only thing. I don't know if he actually will win.
Yeah,
Um,
he's
but
25-0 with 17 knockouts. He has some pretty nice wins. He's the one that stopped Frank Sanchez.
I'm on BoxRec now. I'm looking at Joshua Batiste.
Yeah,
I seen him fight before. I
you
seen him
did.
fight before. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty
Okay.
good. His most notable win is I'm trying to think because I'm trying to remember who I see him fight against. His most notable win was Craig Richards.
Okay, I
I
know
mean
who
not
Craig
Craig
Richards is.
Richards.
Oh,
I know, yeah, but yeah, Craig Richards. He's a notable name,
yeah.
but I mean, I guess you could say that's probably his most notable win. I mean, the guy that he fought 2 fights ago, he was 20-0, but he wasn't really a world beater like that. He's had 2 losses since then and a draw. Um, I'm still gonna go with Caleb Smith. I'm gonna go with Caleb Smith. I think Caleb Smith gonna beat him because this guy hasn't been in one of those type of fights where he hasn't fought any notable names outside of Craig Richards. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna go with Caleb Smith. But Big Bang Zhang, um, I think Big Bang Zhang gonna lose. I don't think he's gonna get knocked out, but I think he's gonna lose.
Yeah, I think
I
he's
think he's
gonna
gonna
lose too.
lose.
You know, he beat Derek Chisora also as well. Just a notable win that's on his record to go along with the win over you know what I'm saying, Frank Sanchez. And Frank Sanchez to me was, man, a really good heavyweight. I thought, you know what I'm saying, coming into that fight, I had Frank Sanchez pick the win. I didn't see it playing out like that. I ain't gonna lie to you. So that guy, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
he also beat the other guy before Frank Sanchez, the guy I think it was a Russian. I think he was undefeated. He was really good. Can't think of his name, but he beat him. And that's when I knew this guy was serious, you know what I'm saying, as a heavyweight. Definitely
Uh,
serious.
this was the guy that knocked out Frank Sanchez.
Yeah, the guy that I get,
Yeah, yeah,
however you pronounce it,
yeah,
he beat Frank Sanchez. He
yeah,
knocked him out. And then the fight before that, remember he fought on that last Saudi card and he beat that undefeated
yeah,
Russian guy that was 18-0 that was knocking out everybody.
yeah. Um, he's 25-0 with 17 knockouts. Uh,
Yeah, the Russian
I'm gonna
guy
say,
since
I'm
then
gonna say,
had two.
I'm gonna say. Cause I'm trying to look. Who he be? He knocked out the Russian dude that was 18-0. Yeah. Who was this Russian dude? Oh yeah, the dude that kept cracking his neck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember who he is now. I remember who he is. Um, nah, I go back on my word. I'm going with Big Bang Zhang because the Russian dude, the dude that kept cracking his neck, The problem was he kept getting hit to the body. He landed some big shots on the dude, and
Yeah.
he rocked the dude a couple of times, but he couldn't follow up behind it because he doesn't have that much defense, and he kept getting hit. I'm gonna say Big Bang Zane gonna knock him out. Big Bang Zane
Okay.
gonna knock him out.
And this, and you know, that guy's also there's another guy. Zhang is also the underdog in this fight, which says a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because Zhang 6'6", I think he's 6'3". You know what I'm saying? Somewhere around there. They're talking about Zhang age being 41, but Zhang still look like he got a lot left. You know what I'm saying? He look like he got a lot left in the tank. If you ask me, you know what I'm saying? I think he's still a real good fighter at heavyweight, and it's kind of like I said. Those are the three fights that I'm on the fence about. When it comes to the Floyd Schofield and Shakur fight, I'm taking Shakur on points.
Yeah, I think Zhang. See what a lot of people overlook with Big Bang Zhang. They look at his size, they look at he's a big puncher, but what they overlook is the fact that Zhang can fight from orthodox or southpaw, and Zhang has underrated fast hands. Like go back and look at that fight that he had with Joseph Joe Joyce. Go look at the fight with Joe Joyce. The first fight, not the second fight. Look at the first fight. Man, Joe Joyce didn't know what to do. He was like, man, I didn't know his hands was that fast. He kept getting hit and didn't know how to get out of the way of the punch. I was like, oh man. And then the second fight, Zane just stopped him quick. He was like, man, this is not even it. This is not even a fight. I already know what I got to do with him. It's not even a fight.
Joe Joyce, man. Joe Joyce, he's a tomato can, if you ask me, just being honest with you. I think Joe Joyce is tomato can, not taking from Zane win, but I always thought that Joe Joyce was just too slow. Like, man, you can see his punches coming from a mile away. I just knew that it wouldn't translate later on down the line when he started fighting good heavyweights. I knew what the outcome was going to be, and Pride said that Zane, all right, I think he'll win. So Pride said he think that Zane will win as well, and I agree with both of y'all. But the fight of probably the biggest fight on this card, and I think it is the headliner, is Daniel Dubois against Joseph Parker. That's a real interesting fight right there. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I lean towards Daniel. I don't know if he gets a stoppage or not, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's gonna be an interesting fight. I mean, how do you see that fight playing out?
Man, I think Daniel Dubois is gonna stop Joseph Parker, dog. Okay. I think Joseph Parker is going to try to do that little in and out real quick and use his boxing ability, because he at the height of his career, Joseph Parker was a hell of a boxer for a heavyweight at the height of his career. And I think he's going to try to use that because he had success with Deontay Wilder. He had success with Big Bang Zhang, and he's thinking he can do that. But what I keep telling everybody is those are two older fighters that he was fighting.
Yep.
Daniel Dubois is not an older fighter. Daniel Dubois is like 27 years old. He's young.
He's young.
So I don't think Joseph Parker is going to be able to stand up to the power of Daniel Dubois. I mean, we saw that with AJ, and I said it in the breakdown. I said it depends on if AJ can get past Daniel Dubois' power. If Daniel Dubois lands a shot on AJ, he's going to sleep. And I think the same thing with Joseph Parker. If Daniel Dubois hits Joseph Parker with a shot, he's going down. Joseph Parker's chin is not a durable chin like that. He can take a couple of shots here and there, but it's not a durable chin where you can punch him and he's going to stand up to it. He's going to go down. So I got Daniel Dubois knocking him out.
Definitely. You know what? I think I'm rolling that way. I'm gonna roll that way too, Pride. You done talking me into taking the knockout. I had Daniel definitely for the win, but it's more money with the knockout, so I'm definitely gonna roll with the knockout as well. Take my chances on that. I see it the same way. But I'm gonna ask you this right here. If I don't tell you the name of this person, which you know the name is when I say this, and I just read this off, I'm gonna read it off to you. I want you to tell me what you think about this person's career when I read off these names. Ricardo Nunez, Yorgos Gamboa, Leo Santa Cruz, Mario Barrios, Isaac Cruz, Rolando Romero, Hector Luis Garcia, Ryan Garcia, Frank Martin. Now, all of those in a session. If I tell you somebody's name and say they fought those people, what do you say about their career?
They had a decent career. I mean, it's not
Mm-hmm.
the top names, but those guys. I mean, you got a future Hall of Famer in Leo Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Um, who knows what's going to end up with Mario Barrios' career? Who knows what's going to end up with daggone Ryan Garcia's career? Those two guys could very well be Hall of Famers at the end of their career if they I mean, well, Mario Barrio, if he continues doing what he's doing, he's going to eventually end up being a Hall of Famer. If Ryan Garcia get his head on straight, he can very well end up being a Hall of Famer. So those guys are some good fighters. Those are none of those guys you would say those are bums. You
Right.
wouldn't say not near one of those fighters is a bum. You might say, hey, there were some other guys that I think is better that he should have fought, but you wouldn't say none of those guys is bums because none of them are. I mean,
Right.
all of those guys at the point that he fought him, except for Leo Santa Cruz, every last one of those guys, except for Leo Santa Cruz, Gamboa, and Pitbull Cruz, everybody else is undefeated
Mm-hmm.
when he fought him. Everybody was undefeated. Leo Santa Cruz had one loss when he ended up going back in there and he beat the dude that beat him. Um, Gamboa, we already know he lost to Bud Crawford, and I think he had like another loss prior to that. I mean, after that or whatever. But then you had who was the other guy just named? Gamboa.
Mario Barrio.
Uh, no, Mario Barrio was undefeated when Tank fought him.
Yeah.
Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz, he had one loss prior to fighting Tank, but we don't even know who that loss was.
Right. Definitely. And the reason I ask you that is because when you hear those names and you look at Tank's career, Tank has had a really good career. But what do you think people are missing, or think is missing from Tank career that continues all this talk? What do you think, or what do you think is missing?
The only thing I think is missing is Tank fighting the fight that people want to see him fight. Not so much him fighting good fights or anything like that, because all those guys that we just named are good fights. They're all good fights. We just believe that Tank Davis is on another level than those guys. And I believe Tank Davis is on another level to all of those guys. We
Yeah.
just assume that the Shakur Stevenson, the Devin Haney, the T.O., and all of those guys, we just assume that that's going to be a good fight because if you read off Tank Davis' resume like you just did,
Yeah.
go read off Shakur Stevenson resume. And you tell me who resume sounds better. You read off
Definitely.
Shakur Stevenson resume, and you be like, who are these dudes that he fought? I don't know these dudes. Like I unless you a diehard Shakur Stevenson fan and you've been following his career since he became a pro, I guarantee you 95% of the people that's on his resume, you don't know who they are. You only
Yep.
know the De Los Santos. You only know the the
Valdez.
the the, the Valdez, the Herring, and the Robert Kasakian. Those are only guys you know. You know of Joette Gonzalez because he was dating his sister. I mean, the dude's sister. You
Yep.
know about that. You only know of the dude that he just fought because Frank Martin just fought him. But if
Yep.
Frank Martin didn't fight him, you wouldn't know who he was.
Definitely, I agree with you. I think people, and the reason I brought up Tank's resume because I think it's a lot better than people actually give him credit for. I think that people just assumed that because he hasn't fought Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis, now they're putting him on that call out list. And I just heard Tank recently say, Tank just said that on the interview that he's killing the hit list. He's more leaning towards retirement, and that right there. I don't know if it's just talk or what, but like I said, if Tank was to retire today, do you feel like he would get into the Hall of Fame?
I think he would get into the Hall of Fame um, simply because of his excitement to the ring. Like a lot of people like to see Tank fight, and I think he would get into the Hall of Fame simply off of that. But if you put that to the side, and just look at the fact that he is a three division champion, regardless of what people want to say, what the boxing fans want to say and say, oh, that's a regular belt. That belt don't count. Well, it doesn't count to you, but it counts to the boxing industry.
Yeah.
It counts to the people that it matters. That belt counts to the people that matters. It might not count to you, but you don't matter. You don't get to say who the champion is or who's not the champion. It's the daggone people in the boxing industry that said who's the champion, who's not the champion. So he's a three division champion. When they announce him as a three division champion, 5-time champion. So when you say 5-time champion, three division champion, just off of that alone, I think he's going to get into the Hall of Fame.
Definitely. And he's 30 wins right now with 28 knockouts. I definitely believe the same thing as you. Whether he fights, I think him and Devin Haney fight is too far fetched now. Devin Haney is a 147-pound fighter now. I don't think that fight happened. And I wouldn't ask Tank to try to travel up to 147 pounds just to appease fans.
I'm gonna put it like this. This is what I don't like, because okay, outside of Devin Haney, I let Devin Haney be who he is. He was undisputed. I give him that. But everybody said they want to see him in there with Shakur. Okay, we just said Shakur hasn't really fought anybody like that. So let's say Tank Davis fights Shakur Stevenson and Tank beats Shakur. He knocks him out, or he just beat him on points. He don't even knock him out. He beat him on points. And then Shakur's career goes to be trash. How good is that win on Tank Davis' resume after that? Let's say
I agree.
Tank beats Shakur, and Shakur goes on a five fight losing streak. How good is his resume? I mean, how good is Shakur's name on Tank's resume really is? Because they're gonna be like, oh, that dude only got 5 losses. Well, Tank was the first loss. Well, he lost everything after that.
Yeah. So would you rather see? So do you think right now at this moment, T.O. would do more of a Tank resume than Shakur?
Yeah, I think T.O. do. I think right now, yeah, T.O. would do more for Tank's resume than Shakur would right now, because of the simple fact of who T.O. has fought, and the fact that T.O. is at a bigger weight class. He's a bigger guy. He's at a bigger weight class, and he's fought better competition than Shakur has fought. So I would think that T.O. does more for Tank's resume. Now, Shakur does do something for Tank's resume as well right now, but at the same token, when we put them all in order and say who does more for Tank's resume, you would say it will be Devin, Loma, T.O., then Shakur.
Yeah. In that order. So you saying in that order, that's how you see it playing as far as what you would like to see from Tank.
Loma, T.O., then Shakur.
How would you feel about if Tank was to skip Shakur and go to Keyshawn Davis? How would you feel about that situation or that fight?
I would say, I mean, Tank, I still got Tank winning. I wouldn't say that it's bad or it's good. I think it's about even, because Keyshawn posed a threat that Shakur doesn't pose. He doesn't have that power that possibly hurt Tank Davis. I think Shakur's only chance of winning against Tank Davis is outpointing him. If he can last long enough to outpoint him, I think that's the only chance he has winning against Tank Davis. But with Keyshawn Davis does have power, and he could possibly hurt Tank Davis if he hit him in the right spot. He could possibly hurt him. So it poses a threat that Shakur doesn't pose. So I wouldn't feel bad about it, because I would say, well, he's going for the most dangerous fight than by fighting Keyshawn, because Keyshawn is more dangerous than Shakur.
Right. But do you think, like I've been hearing people say, the reason they think he might skip Shakur and fight Keyshawn is because Keyshawn is a boxer puncher, where Shakur is more defensively sound, and you're gonna have to chase him down?
Uh, I don't know if that's why he would take it, but I think that's what a lot of people would look at. They would say, "Oh, he feel like he has an easier time with Keyshawn than he would with Shakur." So a lot of
Mhm.
people would say that, even though a lot of the people say they want to see Tank Davis and Keyshawn, but as soon as Tank Davis make that fight, they're gonna say, "Oh, he only
Salute,
took
Thomas.
Keyshawn because it was an easier fight."
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Salute to Thomas, man. Salute to the term.
What's going on, Thomas?
I see you. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I kind of lean towards him taking the fight with Keyshawn because he is a boxer puncher, and I think he knows that Keyshawn is gonna be a guy that you can possibly hit. He's gonna come to fight. Whereas Shakur, no matter what you do, he's gonna stay on his defense. He's not gonna let you get him out of his game plan. His game plan is his game plan. He don't care what nobody say.
Well, another thing too, I think I think Tank Davis and Keyshawn is a bigger money fight than
Mm,
Shakur and Tank. I think it's a bigger money
I can
fight.
see. I can see
Not
that.
not off of not off of name recognition or accomplishment or anything like that. It's because Keyshawn knows how to sell a fight. He gonna
Yeah.
talk his shit, and Tank Davis gonna talk his shit, and so it's going to sell a fight. Just like the Rolly Romero and Tank Davis fight, everybody knew that Tank Davis was going to knock Rolly out, but
Yeah.
Rolly got up there and started talking and made everybody want to see. Okay, does Rolly really have a chance? Does he really
Right.
have a chance? So I think the same thing is with Keyshawn. Keyshawn, he's going to talk. He's not going to sit up there and just be quiet and just let Tank Davis say what he want to say and that's it. No, he's going to talk his smack, and he's going to make it where people want to see the fight because Keyshawn is going to say Tank is too small, Tank can't deal with him, and all this stuff. So people going to want to buy it. And I think that's what's going to draw the fans that want to see that more than seeing Shakur Stevenson. Because like right now, at this point, Shakur has to build his name up because you can't be in your hometown and having fans boo you, having fans walk out
Yeah.
and think you're going to be a big fail. You can't do that.
I actually think that Keyshawn is a bigger star now than Shakur. I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like to me that Keyshawn is actually moving the needle a little bit now and putting people in seats. I think that Shakur, I mean, not Shakur, yeah, Keyshawn, I think he's a bigger star now than Shakur. Just being honest, I think that
Hey, I'm a,
he looks like to
I'm gonna
me
tell
that
you
he's
right
able
now.
to sell out arenas.
Yeah, Tank said it first before anybody else said it. Tank said Keyshawn is looking better than Shakur, and Keyshawn hasn't done anything yet. He
Yeah,
already sold y'all. Keyshawn's looking better than Shakur. So it's all about who's gonna draw into the fight. Like Tank Davis, yeah, he wants the best fights, but he also wants the bigger money fights. If this fight is gonna give me the bigger bag, I'm gonna take this fight. He wants the best fights, but if Shakur is not selling like that, he like, okay, why am I gonna sit here and fight somebody who I probably end up having to chase around and it's not gonna sell that well? Where
hmm
I can go fight quote unquote his little brother, it's gonna sell more. I ain't gotta chase him, and it's still a good fight.
right, definitely. And Pryor said VA was kind of packed, and that's what I'm going off of too. Pryor's the last few fights I've seen from Keyshawn, it seems like the fights have been sold out. Like he's able to, and he's bringing his brothers along. I really loved it. I love the fact that he's bringing his brothers along for the ride. Like when you see Keyshawn fight, you know what I'm saying? More likely one of his brothers, if not both of them, are going to be on the card. That's big right there. Now, you have to be able to sell by yourself. And that's even with David Benavidez now, when Canelo told him to make his own way and jump in his own lane. David Benavidez is starting to be able to move the needle on his own. And those are the type of fighters we need, people to get their own identity. A lot of these fighters don't have their own identity. They're looking to basically, you know what I'm saying, jump on the back of another fighter, pause, and, follow that path or whatever. So there are a few fighters like right now, like Keyshawn and David Benavidez, that I think they're the reason that boxing is slowly but surely coming back to where it needs to be at. Is that how you feel the same way?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, because that's how like Tank Davis became a star because Floyd ran his mouth about Tank Davis, but Tank Davis went into the ring and and produced. Yeah, you can be quiet, but you got to have something that makes people want to see you. Tank Davis was knocking everybody out, so Floyd was running his mouth, but Tank Davis was going up there backing up everything Floyd was saying. So it made people want to see Tank Davis, and then now Tank Davis is talking for itself. Like people like, okay, well he can talk. Floyd was just doing all that talking because that was Floyd, but Tank Davis actually can talk. So like with Shakur, he's talking, but he's not backing up what he's saying.
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
So
Free, hold
it,
on one second.
it's
Thomas
like,
said, let me read this right quick. Thomas said, I don't think Keyshawn is more popular than Shakur just yet, but Keyshawn has built a good fan base. Shakur is more popular nationally, in my opinion. You know, Thomas, I used to think that, but I'm just judging off the last two fights, and the last two fights to me seem like Keyshawn has a real movement behind him, and just looking how the fights have played out. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking at. You could be right though, but to me, I just feel like it's just something like people are really saying Keyshawn's name now.
yeah, I would say Shakur might be slightly more popular than Keyshawn, but it's not by much. It's not by
Okay.
much, and the reason being is because Keyshawn came up under Bud.
Yeah.
Shakur more so came up under Andre Ward. Yeah, he was part of Bud's team or whatever, but he more so came up under Andre Ward. Keyshawn more so came up under Bud because they used the same trainer. So a lot of people know who Keyshawn is because of Bud Crawford. Most people
Yeah.
know Shakur because of Andre Ward. So yeah, Shakur, he's been out longer, so he's a little more popular, but not by much because Keyshawn is steady growing and Shakur is somewhat flatline. He's plateaued right now, and Keyshawn is moving up. Like Keyshawn is like
Yeah.
right at the crust of catching Shakur. One more fight, like his next fight, his title defense. If it's a decent name and he goes out there and he produced like he say he's going to, he might go past Shakur. He might go past Shakur.
Yeah, I can and Free. Yeah, I see it that way too. I think both of y'all are right, and definitely,
Or
Keyshawn is right there. But you know, I know they say a lot about what they're saying as far as them two fighting and being friends. But I'm gonna tell you something, man. The one thing I don't always agree with Coach Kenny, but one thing Coach Kenny said that I did agree with is he said, man, Keyshawn is the type of guy you can't let him in the back seat of your car. You gotta keep your eye on him. I think Keyshawn Davis will be willing to fight Shakur if the contract was put out there. Man, do you think that Keyshawn, you know what I'm saying, would fight take on Shakur? He said Shakur said he wouldn't fight him. I think they'll fight. And if they did fight, I mean, do you think it's a 50-50 fight at this moment?
I think I'm gonna be honest with you. After what I saw the interviews that they did with Keyshawn, I don't think Keyshawn would be the one because how he felt about Shakur coming to see him when he was going through his depression. He was in a mental home. He said Shakur was the only one that was coming to see him, was
Okay.
the only one that was calling him on the phone and stuff like that. I think Shakur would be the one to turn
Do you,
cheek first.
okay.
If the money is right, I think Shakur, he would sit there and listen to his people that he's always around, Jay Prince and Turkey and all of them. I think he will be the one that will turn coat first. I think he'll be like, you know what? They offered me $10 million to fight Keyshawn. I ain't never made $10 million for a fight before. Hey, let's do it. I think he'll be the first one to turn coat. We see, I mean, look at the history. He was friends with Devin Haney, and we see what happened behind that.
Yeah.
The videotaping his father and all this other stuff. Then we see that he was cool with Tank Davis, and we see what happened behind that. And if you want to be honest, my man Knockout said it the other day. I mean, he said it last night. If you want to be honest, Shakur should be thanking Tank Davis because if it wasn't for Tank, Shakur would have signed with Floyd. Tank told Shakur not to sign with Floyd because Floyd is over here doing some crazy stuff, had Tank doing stuff that he didn't want to do. And we were trying to figure out what Tank was talking about when he said that they was trying to set me up with the Pedraza fight, we found out what it was. Floyd put Tank Davis in a fight with Pedraza on a short notice after Tank then had a long layoff. And so that's why he said it felt like they trying to set me up. We never knew what he was talking about. Now we do know.
Right.
He felt like he was being set up because the man was on a long layoff. Now you put him in a fight on short notice. And that was the biggest fight of his career at that time. So we understand now. And then he told Shakur, hey, nah, you don't want to come over here. You might want to go sign with somebody else. He ended up signing with Bob Arum. If Shakur would have signed with Floyd, Shakur would never be the star that he is right now. He wouldn't be a 3-division champion because all of Floyd's focus was on Tank Davis. We seen he had Rolly Romero. He had Greg Hatchett over there. He had Richardson Hitchens over there. He had Mickey Bay. He had what's the other dude? Jack. I can't think of his last name.
Badu Jack.
Badu Jack. Yeah, he had Badu Jack. He had all of those guys. He pretty much pushed all those guys to the back burner and focused on Tank Davis. So Shakur wouldn't be the guy that he is right now if he would have signed with Floyd. If he would have never listened to Tank and signed with Floyd, Shakur wouldn't be the guy he is right now.
Oh yeah, I feel that. But do you think a lot of those guys didn't sign, like the Devin Haney, the Earl Spencers? You think a lot of those guys didn't sign with Floyd because you think Tank was talking behind the scenes, maybe telling those guys it's not a good idea?
Nah, because I don't think Tank was cool with a lot of those guys. I think it's certain guys that he came up with. It's certain guys that he sparred with, he came up with, and he talked to those guys. The other guys, I don't think so much so, because Tank ain't one of those people that goes around and just make a bunch of friends. If he's cool with you, that y'all came up together, y'all got some history or whatever, y'all cool. But if it's somebody that's new, that hasn't been around like that, I don't see Tank as that type of person that just go out and make friends like that. He stays loyal to the ones that he knows. If he don't know you like that, he pretty much stay away from you. He might say what's up to you and keep it moving. But I don't think it was because of Tank. I think a lot of people might have saw what Floyd was doing, and they looked at everybody else that was in the camp and was like, well, why is he only focused on Tank? Why he ain't focused on Rolly? Why he ain't focused on Badu Jack or Mickey Bay or Richardson Hitchens or Greg Hatchett? Why he ain't focused on those guys? So I think that might have had more to do more so than Tank. I think Tank might have talked to the people that he was close with, but the other people, they probably just was looking from the outside in and was like, oh no, he only focused about Tank. I'm not going over there.
But when you look at Badu Jack and those other guys, Mickey Bay and stuff like that, we can basically say that they're not on the level of Tank, star wise, definitely. But do you think if he would have been able to sign the Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, maybe Floyd would have been smart enough to say, well, these guys right here are all elite, just like Tank, so I gotta focus on them. I feel like Floyd maybe looked at Tank and said, well, hey, this is the meal ticket right here. And, I know he can carry the flagship. So he did put more time and effort into him.
Well, I think if he would have signed Devin Haney, he would have never signed Tank.
Okay.
Because he wanted Devin Haney. He didn't necessarily want Tank. Devin Haney was his fight. Was the guy that he was bringing up. Devin Haney been coming to his gym since he was a kid. He was bringing him up. It was Bill to say, "Nah, we're gonna do our own thing. We don't need you, Floyd. We're gonna do our own thing." And so when Floyd heard that, AB brought Tank over, and Floyd turned his focus to Tank, and he said, "You know what? I'm gonna use Tank to shut down everything that Devin is doing. Everything Devin is trying to do, I'm gonna use Tank to shut it down." Because Devin could have became that star because Devin was undefeated. He was. A lot of people was talking about him, but because they had a Tank Davis over here that was knocking out everybody who was fighting on pay-per-views, Floyd just tried to overshadow what Devin was doing, and so that's where the animosity came between Devin Haney and Tank Davis. because Devin Haney and Tank Davis never had no animosity between each other.
Right.
They just sparred a couple of times, but it wasn't no animosity between them. It was because of the Floyd situation that made it hostile environment, and they started going back and forth. Bill said what he said, and then Tank ain't the type of person to just let people say stuff about him. Tank went back at Bill, and then Devin jumped in, and Floyd jumped in, and so it just built up an animosity between the two. And now you have Tank versus Devin, and everybody wanted to see that fight.
Yeah, and I think you know, Devin and Tank, I think they would still be friends, but not for Floyd. Maybe I don't want to put it on him, but I think it had a lot to do with everything. Like you said, I think it played out like that. One, Floyd realized that Devin wasn't going to sign with him, but Bill said it had more to do, with Floyd wanted to basically pay them like an allowance. Like Bill didn't like the contract, Devin didn't like the contract the way Floyd wanted to pay them. I guess it was monthly or whatever, and they weren't willing to do that.
Right. I mean, yeah, because Bill was like, we didn't need the money like that. Well, Bill didn't need the money like that because Bill was already well off. He already had money before Devin Haney became a star. So he didn't need it like that. It was he wanted to get his son the best opportunity that he can get. And when he saw the contract that Floyd gave him, he was like, nah, we're not taking no pennies. It was good for Tank Davis, a fighter that was coming from nothing, that didn't have a major promoter behind him, because Tank Davis fought for like 3 or 4 years before he signed with Floyd.
Yep.
So he didn't have a major promoter behind him when he was fighting the early part of his career. That fight, that I think it was the fight that he had his loss in. I think it was a 6-round fight. I mean, not a loss. The first fight that went the distance. It was a 6-round fight. He wasn't signed to Floyd at that time. He was still out here freelancing, and so he didn't sign to Floyd till maybe a couple of fights before the Pedraza fight. I think it was like maybe 3 fights before the Pedraza fight is when he signed to Floyd, and then Floyd got him the Pedraza fight, and then it took off from there. But so Tank Davis took the contract that Floyd was given because he didn't have a major promoter behind him. He was coming from nothing. So that's why I said you got to understand the reason why Tank moved the way he did when he was under Floyd is because he came from nothing. He fought a few years in the pros with no major promoter behind him. He was taking whatever they was giving him. If Bob Earl would have came to Tank Davis with an offer, Tank Davis would have signed to Bob Earl.
Yeah.
He didn't have no major promoter behind him.
I don't know how they miss. I don't even know how they missed Tank early in his career, but that's how it goes sometimes. But Tank, like I said, with this interview, came out and said that he felt like his fight with Ryan Garcia was better than the fight with Floyd and Oscar, and he also said that he wants to, face Floyd. How do you feel about both of those statements?
He of course he was capping. Now he could have said, he might have been talking about his performance. I don't know exactly what he was talking about because he didn't specify what he was talking about. He just said his fight was better.
Yeah.
So he might have been talking about his performance, or he might have been talking about the money that he made in the fight, or he could have been talking about the fact that he stopped Ryan and Floyd didn't stop Oscar. I don't know what he was talking about, but we all know the Oscar and Floyd fight was a much better fight than Ryan versus Tank Davis. The Floyd and Oscar fight generated more money, and it was a bigger fight far as name recognition. Oscar De La Hoya was the golden boy. Floyd Mayweather was pretty boy. He was moving up. He wanted to take the throne from Oscar De La Hoya. So it was a bigger fight far as the magnitude of the outcome of that fight. Tank Davis and Ryan, you didn't really have that because nobody really believed in Ryan's skill level. Everybody pretty much knew that Ryan wasn't on the level of a Tank Davis. So they didn't really give Ryan a shot of winning that fight except for landing the left hook. Well, we seen he landed the left hook a couple of times. It had no effect. So it wasn't. Like I said, he was capping, but I don't know exactly what he meant by saying his fight was better.
It didn't even do
a couple of different things.
It didn't. Well, I was just looking it up. Oscar and Floyd done 2.4 million pay-per-view buys as well. So they
That's what I'm
even
saying.
done more
That's
pay-per-view
what I'm saying.
buys than that. So that was a big
That's
fight
what I'm
right
saying.
there.
They generated more money. That's what I said. Oscar and Floyd generated more money. So I know he wasn't talking about the money generated. Now he could have been talking about the money that he got compared to what Floyd got, because Tank walked away with somewhere around $40 million. Floyd
Yeah,
only got like 5 or 6.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe he was
definitely.
talking about that. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that
I
was
don't
early.
know exactly what he was talking about. But
Man, you're right.
the fight itself, no. Oscar and Floyd fight was much better than Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. Now
I
Tank
agree
had
with
a
that.
better outcome than Floyd. He had a better outcome than Floyd, but it was a better fight.
That fight right there is really the fight that pushed Floyd into stardom, though. That was the fight that we seen Floyd come out. It was just basically his real coming out party, if you want to think about it, because that's when Floyd blew up after
Yeah,
that fight. So you know what I'm saying? It got Floyd to
right,
where he wanted to be at.
right.
Yeah, definitely.
He
Man, listen,
knew
I
the
gotta.
only
Hey,
way the
free.
only way he could.
My fault. I was gonna say, I go ahead.
That's
Go ahead.
why
Do
he
what you gotta
wanted that
say.
fight with Oscar for so long.
Yeah, he did.
Uh,
He did. I got to get ready to go to work, everybody. Man, I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. I appreciate you, my brother Free, for dropping by, man, and doing this with me. Man, we'll be back this weekend. Like I said, y'all know we got some big fights coming up this weekend. So I know without a doubt BVO will be live. We'll all be live this weekend and ready for these fights, man. This CDK box, this is CDK with Sports Talk Network. Let me change that up. The new and improved. We out. You got anything to say before we go, Free?
Now, man, make sure y'all tune in tonight. I believe me and BVO and Prize doing a show tonight at 8 o'clock. And make sure y'all tune in tomorrow morning. Watch Crush the Legend, 6
Definitely.
a.m. on BVO Boxing or Crush the Legend channel. And I might go live later on this afternoon and talk about some NFL, because there's some things that went down that got a lot of people in the NFL industry talking right now. So I might be going live around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Salute to that, man. We out.
Oh man, matter of fact, make sure y'all tune in. If y'all not subscribed, subscribe to Thomas, my man Thomas from the Bronx as well.
Definitely, definitely. Hit them, definitely subscribe, man. Y'all tune in all the Sports Talk Network, man. We done came together. We doing our thing. So make sure y'all check us all out, man. We out of here.
Peace.
Peace.